Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sanchez? Here. Commissioner Butcher?
Here.
Commissioner Trujillo?
Here.
And Mayor Collins.
Here. Now, Commissioner Butcher will lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Everybody bow here, please. Our Heavenly Father, Lord, we want to thank you for letting us all arise today. Lord, we thank you for taking care of our family, friends, and those that overseas that are in harm's way. Lord, just bless this meeting as we're about to start it. And give us the guidance and right directions to carry it on in the proper manner. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, that is a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Thank you, Commissioner. I saw you still haven't got that. Lip sync. Any idea where Commissioner Gandy is?
He will not be in attendance tonight, sir.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as submitted.
I'll make that motion. I second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. I'll entertain the next motion.
Make the motion. Consider the regular meeting minutes of June 26, 2017.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any questions or comments? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. We'll go on into commissioners and staff reports, starting out with the one and only Mr. Wyatt Duncan.
Commissioner, Mayor, just to give you an update on last week, Mr. Lambert at 301 North Love brought up that the commercial account for water, and that he was advised that he could not switch it over to residential. The account is actually in Joseph Rickman's name. It's been in Joseph Rickman's name for years. It used to be a commercial business there, and that's the current reason why it's at a commercial account. I took it in my own to change it over to a residential. I did change it over to residential sewer and residential water for him, since there's no longer a business there. And I just want to give you an update on that. Mr. Gandy brought up the RV lift station, or the dump station at the Avenue D Park. I am going to be replacing the lid and the handles and everything on that to be a little more safer and adequate for them to be dumping for the station there.
Was it unsafe what we had before?
The door is actually broke right now. One of the hinges is actually just sitting on there, and they've ripped the handle off. So I'm going to be cutting the handle completely off and putting new hinges and everything on it.
All right, very good. Thank you for that, White. Appreciate it. Mr. Chapman.
If I may, your Mayor and Commission, just an update related to our electronic meter reads and what's happening with census and Encode. I've communicated with both entities, and it's really boiled down to this, that Encode is our master of what we're going to do as far as our accounting software, and they have specific requirements of the format of the data that they receive. And if at any time what we get from census does not conform to that, we'll have this issue. So we currently have a case number with census, and we're working with them, and we also have a representative from Encode working with us as well, to where we're planning on no later than the 15th. It may be a little later than that, but having all of the data input that we receive from census that is fit into that format that will work well with Encode.
So what are we going to do by the 15th?
It is our goal to have all of the meter reads that we receive from census in compliance with the format that's needed for Encode.
Okay. Why, you had something to add to that?
We are 100% finalized on with UMC, the meter company. They have came in and changed out all that. They do have a list, probably about 120 meters that either the customers have directly tied in, or we have a broke stop on our side, or some physical way that they didn't feel comfortable of doing it, so the list is being handed to our crew, and to change out those final 120 to 115, somewhere around there. But the meter company is completed with their change out.
All right, very good. Any questions from the commissioner, any comments? Okay, thank you for that. Gary, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, very good. Ms. Barrera?
Nothing to report, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Juarez?
Nothing to report.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Sanchez?
I have nothing to report.
All right, very good. Commissioner Butcher?
Yes, I just had a concerned citizen, kind of remind me a little bit about the library. Is our water working at the library over there for the outside to take care of the plants and stuff, or is it currently?
As far as I know, it is. I know they had a valve system that was broke underneath the tree, but I will definitely look into that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and I was out of town for the 4th of July, so can anybody give me an update on the fireworks celebration, 4th of July celebration at the park? All right, Chief.
Mayor, Commissioners, the fireworks, it was a little windy when we got started, but the crew that was firing them off felt confident that it was okay to go ahead and shoot those off. And we had pretty much everything went off without a hitch, so it was a very good show, and I feel like it was a good 4th for us.
Good. Yes, sir.
Mayor, we also have Raylan here she can comment on the rest of the activities that we had out there.
Please. Raylan. Thank you.
So quiet.
She's in
I'm not sick.
Okay.
The 4th of July was the 4th of July, hot and humid, but it was a good day. A lot of kids out, enjoyed the day. Is there anything in particular that y'all wanted to? I know I saw a couple of faces. I saw one of the commissioners there. So, but David, do you have anything to add?
No, I really enjoyed it. I think everybody out there enjoyed it.
Yeah, we didn't have near the vendors that we normally do, but it was a tough day. For some reason, everybody decided July 3rd was now a holiday as well, and we take that day off now. So that kind of hurt us a little bit. It's true facts. That was kind of tough, but we still had a lot of kids. We still had a lot of participation. We gave a lot of fireworks out to the kids and had a good day.
I saw pictures of the volleyball
Yeah,
tournament. That seemed pretty,
there was
pretty
6
good.
teams entered in the volleyball tournament this year.
How about the Great Lizard race? Anybody?
I believe Melinda said there was almost 20.
Yeah. I believe
So there wasn't quite near as many
It was a
lizards.
nice, cool day, too. It wasn't really hot at all.
It wasn't.
Breeze.
It was nice. And we got everything done. I usually have about 30 kids in the bicycle parade. We didn't even touch 10. So this year, so it was a little discouraging at times, but it's just quality of life, and it made a great deal to those that did attend.
Very good.
Help when 40 mile an hour breeze come through.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Raylan.
Thank goodness we were already gone.
Appreciate that. All right. That was all I had. Commissioner Trujillo?
None. Thank you.
Nothing?
I'm good.
Okay. Chief?
Nothing to report.
Nothing. Chief Luzardo?
Nothing else to report, sir.
Anything else at the 4th of July you want to advise us of? There was a run too, correct?
The fun run?
Fun
Yes.
run, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You know anything about that? I saw pictures of that as well. They looked like they had several participants in there.
70?
Good.
There's quite a few.
And the young girl won the overall. This is Froylan Espinosa's daughter. Melena. Yeah. She's a good runner. I think she's going to be a sophomore as well. She's tough. Yes, sir.
I want to ask Mr. Lizardo something.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lizardo, were you the big lizard this year?
No, no, sir, I was not.
The what?
The big lizard.
I was the head chef.
That was last year.
You know, John used to come down, John Graham used to come down in a big old, there's a big old lizard in this bag or something.
No, I guess it was.
You didn't get that memo?
No, sir.
The big lizard memo?
No, sir. They kept asking me where the lizard race was, and I told them wrong Lizardo. Wrong Lizardo.
The great Lizardo. That's all All right, very good. All right. James?
Yes, sir. Mayor and Commissioners, next, or actually this Wednesday, July 12th, over at the Town Hall, the Museum Town Hall, and MDOT and the Federal Highway Works Administration are going to have a meeting, a public meeting in regards to the Main Street reconstruction. It starts at 5:30. The actual presentation will begin at 6, and they'll have time for, what they're seeking is community input on the proposed design and changes that DOT has come up with.
What was the location, I'm sorry?
It'll be over at the museum in the Town Hall.
Town Hall, okay, gotcha.
Off of Central. Also, weather permitting, we'll be doing some mosquito spraying tonight. It just depends on wind speed and humidity. Also, we will be releasing bids early next week for the 7th and Polk Street reconstruction for drainage, as well as the 17th Street project from Jefferson to Avenue D.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. Patrick, anything?
Nothing this evening.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. We'll go on into public comment. Anybody that wishes to address the commission may do so at this time. If you'll keep your comments down to about 3 minutes. Just observers today, I guess. Huh? That's good. Anybody? Nobody? Okay. Go ahead, sir.
I would like to respectfully request the possibility, if you all reviewing, having public comments after or at the end of the meeting, because there's been times that things have come up that I would like to comment about, but the comments are already gone. So just request. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Crystal Ball, Planning and Zoning Coordinator. I sent a letter to the state CID representatives. They had put a restriction on homeowners as to get a permit to build anything. A homeowner had to now go to Santa Fe, Albuquerque, or Las Cruces in person to get a permit. I think this is very unfair for our citizens. I think that's going to cause a large problem of people not wanting to get permits to build. So I did send them a letter. I have gotten a couple of responses from, I did have Mr. Martin call me, and he actually approved over the phone one of my permits that was already in. They had sent the homeowner a letter saying he had to come in. I contacted him. He actually fixed that one. So I'm hoping maybe they'll change this restriction with the letter I sent out. So.
What is the reasoning for that, Crystal? Do you know?
They said it was to verify who the homeowner was and that they own the property. And on the Homeowners Responsibility Act that they have to sign to get a homeowner's permit, it has a place to be notarized. And if it goes through me and I sign up on the CID, I tell them, you know, that's why I was telling those people at the state, is I verified that information, that they do own the property and they're within our regulations to do what they're doing and things like that. So I'm hoping this will help.
Well, okay, thank you. All right, anybody else? All right, very good. We'll go into non-action items. Discussion of Sunday sales, local option for restaurant beer and wine license holders. James?
Yes, sir. Mayor and Commissioners, Commissioner Trujillo had requested that we put this on our agenda for discussion. We also have some of the information he requested that staff obtained. So kind of as a review, on September 18th of 2012, the city did approve through special election the restaurant beer and wine local option, which does allow for our restaurants to serve beer or wine, or a combination of the two. Of course, over 65% of their revenue does have to come from food sales. We've only had actually 2 restaurants take advantage of that, and that was Jalisco's, and then Pizza Hut actually converted their license to a restaurant beer and wine license. During that time, the Sunday sales option was not considered on the ballot, and that is another local option which would allow buy the drink sales in restaurants on Sundays. So Commissioner Trujillo had requested that we look at some alcohol-related statistics. And of course, our records would go back to 2014, but as you can see, we've had a relative decline in the amount of DWIs since that time. there are remaining, 10 or less offenses per year. So we haven't seen a dramatic increase. Of course, with our transition to the new system that we have over at the police department, any data prior to that is pretty labor intensive as far as pulling those statistics. Whenever you look at how if Sunday sales are to be considered, it would have to go through a special election, and after looking at the different state statutes, this one in particular, consulting with alcohol and gaming, basically what we have to have for the commission to even call for a special election is a petition by 10% of the number of votes cast in the last election for governor in Lovington, which, just going through a quick review of the statistics, we had 1,954 individuals vote in the last election for the governor. So we would need 10% of that to submit a petition. Once that petition is verified by the county clerk, making sure that those individuals were registered voters, are registered voters and reside within Lovington, that would be submitted to this city commission. Then the commission would have the ability to enact a resolution calling for a special election. You can also, with this particular issue, conduct it during a regular election as well, which we do have one coming up in March for municipal or city commission seats. You had asked Commissioner Trio the cost of the last special election. It was $3,800. This includes the ballot preparation. This also includes advertising costs and, of course, paying the poll workers. And that is all that we have as far as your report, unless you have any other questions.
Yes, Commissioner.
Would it be more expensive since it's been at least 4 years since we had a governor? Would it be at least more expensive this now?
Mayor, Commissioners, Commissioner Sanchez, I don't believe that the cost of the ballots would have increased, and I do not believe that since the last general election or the last special election, the cost of the ballot preparation has increased. I know that you had researched that, and the ballots cost the same, so I believe that it would probably, the only variable would be advertising expense, which I believe that's remained very consistent as well.
So if we ran this during a regular election, it would cost us any additional monies, is that correct?
It would for advertising purposes.
How much would that be, more or less, around ballpark?
Honestly, I don't know, sir. The advertisement in the paper, as far as the ballot questions, it would add characters to it, and I believe we get charged by the character.
But it wouldn't be close to this amount here, correct?
I would think it would probably be very close to that amount.
Really?
Yes, sir.
So you're saying that it wouldn't make that much difference money-wise if we had a special election compared to waiting until regular?
Well, no, Mayor, it would actually cost, I would estimate it would cost about the same as the general election that we would have, roughly costs about the same as the special election. So and there's certain time restrictions on the petition. Off the top of my head, I can't remember from the date of the first signature to the final signature. I want to say that it's either 60 or 90 days, and then it has to be submitted. So if this was something that individuals were interested in as far as timing this, and if we wanted to save money on an election, yeah, it would be cheaper for us to consider this as an additional question on our ballot for City Commission. However, no, this would actually increase the cost because not everybody votes during the general election because you vote for your commission district. So we're still looking at probably about a $4,000 cost.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, Chief, David, on the disturbances in restaurant, any statistics on that?
No, sir.
When we pass this?
None.
None. So they had not increased or?
Not that they've been reported to us, no.
Okay, so, the only reason I brought this up is because last time we were a little bit conservative because this was the first time we ran this election and no one was had obtained beer and wine sales for their restaurants. So we ran a little conservative and just to test the waters and so forth, and it shows to me that we were successful in getting a couple of restaurants on board, as well as DWI rates they didn't show any increase, no disturbances in the restaurant. So I would feel comfortable in looking at a special election in order to pass this. I feel that one thing about this is that you try to give all the restaurants the opportunity, same opportunities as our sister city down south would. You know, a lot of people travel to Hobbs to enjoy a meal over there. And a lot of these Hobbs are successful because they're diversified and they're not just singled out for just selling food. And a lot of them are nice restaurants and they do serve alcohol. And I see pretty practically almost everybody from Lovington eats at these restaurants. So I don't see what the difference would be for us to, on a conservative standpoint, to eat at a restaurant here. But like I said, my objective is for the business owner to give them all the resources and available to help them succeed and plus help the growth of our community. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner.
I got a question on
Yes,
that.
sir.
To Mr. Williams.
Okay.
On the liquor license, if it's approved for all the restaurants, they all have to get a license, don't they?
Yeah, Mayor, Commissioner Sanchez. Yes, sir. You still, just because we elect this as a local option, you still have to obtain your license through the state of New Mexico.
They are expensive, right?
Yes, sir. I believe there's at least a 500. No, sir. No. There's an application fee and a lot of documentation you have to provide. I don't remember what that application fee is off the top of my head. But it is not like it's not a full liquor license.
Right.
They wouldn't be able to sell package. This is simply just beer or wine on-site consumption. But it wouldn't be just so an individual could open up a bar. Correct. Yeah, correct. And they would have to, and as we told you earlier, 65% of their sales has to come from the sale of food. Once the kitchen shuts down, they can't serve any alcohol whatsoever.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Any other discussion, comments, questions? All right. We'll go into action items. I'll entertain the first resolution.
I'll make the motion we consider Resolution 2017-68, adoption of required community development block grant, CDBG, annual certification and commitments.
We have a second by Commissioner Sanchez. James.
Mayor, Commissioners, we're required annually due to our participation with the CDBG block grant program to adopt certain, or I guess restate our commitment and adopt resolutions of different components. Of course, the citizen participation plan is the encouragement of public input and how we're going to achieve that. Also, fair housing and commitment to that Fair Housing Act to make sure that there's no discriminatory practices when it comes to fair housing. Also, our residential anti-displacement plan and relocation assistance. Should a CDBG project cause displacement of a homeowner, this is the plan that identifies how we can accommodate that. Of course, our CDBG program, we're using this for road reconstruction. The Section 3 plan just emphasizes how we want to give everybody an equal opportunity to participate in city projects. With the Section 3 plan, this is emphasis on low income. And then, of course, procurement, ensuring that we comply with state procurement. And this resolution would just reaffirm our commitment towards all of these required components.
All right. Questions, comments by the Commission? All right. Very good. And your recommendation is that we approve the resolution, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. I'll entertain the next motion.
I'd like to make the motion to consider Resolution 2017-69, Fair Housing Act.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Trujillo. James.
Mayor, Commissioners, this is actually a component that we approved with the previous resolution. However, the documentation, the way that we've interpreted it is it does require its own separate resolution. So this is the Fair Housing component.
Very good. Any discussion by the commission? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. I'll entertain the next motion, please.
I'll make a motion, we consider resolution 2017-70, approval of street closure permit for car show.
I'll second that.
We have a second. James?
Mayor Commissioners, the Theater Foundation is going to host their second Reels and Wheels car show, with the proceeds of this going to benefit the Lee Theater. They're requesting the closure of Love Street from Avenue A all the way to Central, and Avenue A from Main Street to Love Street, as well as Central Avenue. Car show was actually well attended last year.
Okay. Let me ask you this, James. How does this create revenue for them?
Where's Mark? We'll start.
Come on up, Mara. Somebody.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Commissioners. The way this revenue creates revenue for the theater is there's an entry fee for anybody that wants to participate with their car, $30 pre-registration, and then food vendors are charged a $100 fee. And then we also have sponsorship levels that we're asking for. They're really similar to ones that we ask for Smoking on the Plaza. So they vary anywhere from $1,000 to $100 sponsorship fee, and we put their company name and logo, depending on how far they go out there. And then we got some lodgers tax money to help with advertising as well.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Okay. Any other discussion by the commission?
I was just gonna say, when we close this, what's the time frame, how long we're gonna have that closed? Maybe I missed that. Just
9 to 4.
Closing that street?
It will.
The event is 9 to 4, right?
Mayor Commissioners, it'll be pretty much closed all day from very early in the morning till probably 6, 7 o'clock at night.
You can bring your hot rod over.
My bike.
Okay.
Yours has the dice in the rear mirror, right?
All right, very good. Any other discussion by the commission? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. I'll entertain the next motion.
I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2017-71, approval of boxing match permit.
Second that.
We have a second. James.
Ours is fine.
Yes.
The downtown throwdown.
Downtown throwdown, yes, sir.
I like that.
Mara, you might as well work your way to the front. And just stay up here. Mayor and Commissioners, the theater is also getting creative as far as trying to find other events to raise funds for the theater. And of course, the downtown throwdown. It is a boxing match. It's actually a coordinated event. It's not just you show up and you get to box. But this is put on by a promoter who knows what they're doing. They have their insurance, and they have worked with this promoter as far as fees, and it sounds like an excellent opportunity for the theater to capture. But looking at city code, they actually have to be, for any boxing or wrestling match, you have to actually have a permit issued by the city that's approved by the city commission. So this is a request to approve that permit. The only things that they require is the date, or our code requires is the date, the time, and then the list of the participants, which this is not until August 26th, so they are still getting the individuals who are going to be boxing in those names. This resolution would approve this contingent that we receive all the required documentation prior to the event.
So these are amateur fights, is that correct?
Yes, we're actually teaming up with Isidro Castillo. He is the owner of Hard Knocks Boxing Factory. School of Hard Knocks. Thank you. In Hobbs, he was having a block party the day of Reels on Wheels. So I kind of called him and just started asking him questions, and he mentioned how he's been wanting to do something like that here in Lovington. So it's going to be anywhere from 10 to 15 amateur fighters. Half of them are going to be from Hobbs, from his boxing class, or his boxing school.
School?
Sorry, I'm not very familiar with it. I just know that people like it. And then the other half are going to be from around New Mexico, so we're guaranteed at least 15 to 20 rooms here at the Comfort Inn, so that's always really good. And then as you can see, we're going to have some general admission, $15. The beer garden section is so that you could sit and have a beer while watching it. But since not everyone is comfortable with that way you can just sit on the other side. And since you have to be 21 or older, if there any kids want to watch or participate, then they can sit on the other side. The really good thing about this is that he has offered to pay the sanction fee from the boxers, which includes the insurance. He will be paying for the belts for the ones that win. And he has agreed to pay for half of the rooms of Lodgers Tax Night. Completely upfront cost, he's going to be putting it out. And then afterwards, whatever we make 50-50 is going to be split between us and his kids. That he works with a lot of low-income families for his classes, so a lot of them don't pay their memberships, so he would be using that to reimburse them.
Great.
So,
That's awesome.
yes, sir.
So what about this beer thing? Where is it gonna be?
It's going to be in the theater parking lot, right between the Lister building and the theater. It's going to be hosted by Drylands. They have agreed to either do a vendor fee or give us a certain percentage of what they make that night, because we're trying to make the most money for the theater. Yes,
I was
sir.
gonna ask, and also, are we gonna have the theater open that day for the, oh, so it is?
We will, and we will actually, the day before, we will be doing weigh-ins. It's going to be like a real boxing match, if any of you guys have ever been to any of those. The day before they do weigh-ins, so we would actually host the weigh-ins on the theater stage the day before, and then send them upstairs to the balcony and have them like a small VIP party so that they could watch the movie and eat. And then the following day we would have the boxing match. And we're trying to get it as close to the theater as possible so that people see where their money's going to. You know, this isn't just like, oh, it's going in our back pockets. No, we're hoping to pay the roof and some of the other things that the theater really needs.
We're showing Rocky, right?
We've been talking about it.
That's good.
We did actually talk about it, so we're hoping that, fingers crossed, that that does go through. I know Star has certain requirements from the studios, and kind of with like either you're showing classics or you're showing fresh run movies, but she is working on that currently.
That's awesome, thank you.
So someone like Trump and CNN can be there?
Yeah.
Someone, I'm sorry?
Someone like Trump and CNN can be there?
I mean, they,
Yeah, but this is boxing, you know, you can do that too.
Can we sign up like Wyatt and Chief and
no, not right now, because they do have to be actual amateur boxers. Sorry, guys. But
They gotta be actual fighters, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But the really cool thing that we had talked about is he says that he's put on in various parts of the state things like, you know, the police department of one city versus another city, or principals versus coaches and stuff like that as fundraisers, and that has brought in even more money. But we were kind of worried about insurance and all of that stuff, so we kind of wanted to do this at a small scale this year and see how we can make it bigger next year.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about it. Number one, how are you gonna secure the area where you're gonna make sure that everybody who shows up pays? And number two, what time is the actual boxing match gonna start?
Okay, so first of all, we're gonna have street closures, which I know that doesn't deter anybody from coming, but we're gonna have wristbands that determine whether you're a $15 general admission or whether you're the $30 beer garden admission. And if you do not have one of those bands, then we're gonna ask you to either pay the $15 or ask you to leave. We're hoping to get some actual security guards out there so that they can enforce that.
I had one more.
Yes, sir.
It's still on that beer thing. What kind of percentage are you talking about?
It's gonna be up to Drylands to see how much they're willing to give us.
It's not for Lovington makes a good profit, I'm gonna say no.
We haven't actually sat down and had that discussion yet. We were talking about a 10% at least.
Well,
Which,
I won't say yes until I find out for sure.
we have a meeting scheduled, but we wanted to make sure that we could even have the downtown Throwdown
And are y'all
first.
gonna police the area? Are you gonna hire policemen or?
I know we're for sure gonna have security guards. I don't know that we can afford police officers.
Well, we want somebody who knows what they're doing. Police do.
Hey, David.
And what are the times? I'm sorry, Mom.
I believe we said 6 o'clock. Yes. And it should go on maximum 6 to 8 is what we had talked about.
You have how many fights?
10 to 15, for sure 10. We're aiming for
He said
15.
it usually lasts anywhere from 2 to 3 hours.
Mhm.
What his events last.
Okay, all right. So you're gonna need additional lighting out there, or you have?
Yes, we're hoping to get some in-kind
Okay.
light towers
This is
and
a-
some
this-
in-kind porta potties.
This is a question for Patrick, if I may. So you have somebody out there, a fan shows up, and they don't pay to get in, or they don't pay. And so they're confronted by somebody, your personnel, and they said, well, this is a public street, you know, this is a public square. Shouldn't have to pay. What's our stance there, Patrick?
You know, I don't know. I was just taking some notes on this. Normally, when we have an event downtown where there's a fee, you know, if you have to pay to get into the beer garden, there's some limitations on getting in or out. And so we may have to incorporate into this some kind of, you know, fence or roped off area that will allow people to come in. But you're right, it is public. And so if somebody wanted to stand down the street and they're better there pick up with some binoculars, I don't know if you can really stop them from doing that. I think it's going to be a question of how close they get to the event, if there's seating, whether you're allowed up on the seating or not. So there's got to be some way to demarcate that from just something happening in the public, like our rib cook-off. You know, we don't charge admission for that. You just kind of walk around. So I'm sure we can figure something out. But that is a very good point that we need to sort of hone in on. So I don't think it's one that would preclude approving a permit. We just may approve it subject to, working that issue out or having some kind of arrangement so that, we don't charge one family to be there and not be able to either charge the other or ask them to leave. We've got to be able to get that sorted out somehow.
If I may, Mayor Campos, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
We're actually working with the county right now to see if we can get their bleachers that they have around the stage that are actually transportable to be set up around. And then we were also hoping to work with Legendary Service because they have some giant fencing to put around the area. Again, if they're in their pickup, there's nothing we can do. But if they're like walking around close enough to come into the fencing area, then that's when we would ask that they have a wristlet in order to be able to stay.
Okay.
And I was also going to ask on this, like for the emergency service, if someone really needs, we're already going to have them on standby chief, or have we talked about it, or what?
So my understanding from ECJO was that it is required in order for it to be a sanctioned event that they have a doctor on site, and once this gets approved, we're going to start working out with the hospital, see if they can, if you need doctors able to donate his time to be out there. And then when I mentioned that the police department was just down the street, he said that that would be okay, but we do need an actual doctor on site. A lot of the kinks will get worked out as soon as we have approval, because we didn't want to go through with a lot of the work and then it not be approved and be like, hey guys, sorry, just kidding.
Okay, all right. Very good. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Without any further questions, we'll take it to a vote. All right. Do you have a question, Commissioner?
Are we going to vote on that?
I'm sorry?
On what she wanted? Are we going to vote on what she wanted?
Yes, sir, we're going to vote on the approval for the
I didn't
permit.
want to vote until I found out what the procedure was going to be.
Did-
So I abstained from voting until I find out.
Until you find out what now?
About what percentage we were going to get, the city was going to get, because they said they was going to give a
Well,
percentage.
the city wouldn't get it. It would be the theater.
It's going to
This is all for the theater.
Huh?
This is all for the theater. For the Lee Theater, Commissioner.
Yeah, but still, if they make 100%, they give us 5%, why not give us half of it? It's for the theater. It's for the theater.
Yeah, because I think the theater is split in the revenue with Castillo Boxing, is that correct?
I believe Commissioner Sanchez's question is from Drylands, the percentage that we would get from
Oh,
them.
okay.
But I wouldn't be able to tell you because they are really starting out. I don't know if they're willing to do a certain percentage or if they want to just charge a flat fee. We had talked about doing at least a $300 fee, if not getting a minimum of 10% from their sales. So it's going to be whatever they think is more beneficial to them, because at the same time they need to make money in order to go out there. And since not everyone is going to be at the beer garden, we kind of have to put that into consideration as well.
I'm good, Mr. Mayor. Okay.
All right.
Go ahead and vote.
And where exactly is the ring gonna be?
Right in front of the parking lot, in front of it. So the parking lot in between the theater? Yeah, there.
Okay.
Thanks. That's where the ring's gonna be, right there. And actually, Cedro's bringing his ring for us, and he's not charging or anything. He's just bringing it down out here for that fight.
All right, cool.
Well, my concern here too is of that resolution. It says a boxing match, but then you're including the beer garden, which you didn't say here.
Because this permit's only for a boxing permit. We don't normally get permits for the beer garden.
Don't need a picnic.
Yes, go ahead.
Mayor Commissioner Sanchez, the actual beer garden permit is a separate item that is actually regulated by the state of New Mexico. They go through the state of New Mexico, just like for the beer garden for Smoking on the Plaza that they recently had, and also the concert that they had Saturday night. That is all handled through state alcohol and gaming.
Yeah, picnic license, what he's referring to.
Well, I know I've seen boxing matches and they didn't allow beer, so I don't know.
So we're only voting on the boxing permit?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? Okay, all right. Thank you, Mike. If there's no other discussion, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor of this resolution, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
So we have an opposition. Would you do a poll? Roll call, please, Anna.
Sure. Commissioner Trujillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenship?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
No.
Mayor Campos?
Yes. Okay, motion carries. All right, I'll entertain the next motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2017-73, FY 2017-2018, first quarter lodgers tax funding.
One.
What? Did I miss one?
Street closure.
Oh. Street closure. Like to rephrase that?
Yeah, would you please? Go ahead.
My eyes are crossed.
Together, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2017-72, approval of street closure permit for boxing match.
We have a second. All right, James.
Mayor and Commissioners, this resolution approves the street closure permit. It's a separate item as our policy requires, since this is an arterial and they will be charging for entry to the event. It requires commission approval.
All right. Patrick, any issues, legal issues with this ordinance resolution?
I don't think there's anything that would prohibit it.
Okay.
I mean, there's other issues like we previously discussed.
Okay. All right, very good. Any discussion by the commission?
No.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, well, I'll entertain the next motion, please.
I make a motion to consider resolution 2017-73, fiscal year 2017-2018, first quarter lodgers tax funding.
I'll second that.
We have a second. James.
Mayor and Commissioners, we met last week. The Lodgers Tax Board did. And as you can see with the attachment, we are recommending, it's a maximum of $19,969 for the 5 different events that we have for this next quarter.
Okay. Any discussion by the commission? Good. Everybody good? All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. I'll entertain the next motion, please.
I'll make a motion we consider accounts payable.
Second that.
We have a second. Mr. Chapman.
If I may, your mayor and commission, the single highest expenditure is the $32,000 for the police evidence parking lot. Then the list, as you can see, is small, primarily due to the fact that we've had some constraints with staffing to be able to really prepare the checks in one of the weeks that had gone by. Of course, we're doing some catch-up this week. If you have any questions, let me know.
What was done for to the parking lot?
The lot behind it, they've completely scraped it out. They've started the new plans for the evidence lot as far as the in-town lot. Matter of fact, they're still working on it today. They've done the dirt work on it.
Yes, James.
Mayor Commissioners, this is actually part of a capital outlay appropriation, so this is actually a reimbursable expense.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And the youth center security lights, can you elaborate on that? James?
Yes, Mayor Commissioners, this is an upgrade for the exterior lighting that we have around the youth center.
Okay. Was it going bad? Is that what it was?
Yes, sir. It was older. This is bringing it up to electrical code and also brighter to light up the exterior.
Do we have any cameras in place at the youth center?
Yes, yes, sir. They are all interior.
Okay.
We have one camera on the exterior that we're still having some issues with getting the signal to broadcast to us. So, but we do have, I believe we have 15 cameras, 16 total, 15 cameras that are transmitting right now.
All right, very good. One on the outside, but it's not receiving, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, very good. Okay, anybody, any other questions? All right, very good. Thank you, Gary. All right, all in favor of approving accounts payable, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. I'll entertain another motion.
Make a motion, we go into closed session pursuant to section 10-15-1 NMSA 1978, subsection H-7, regarding threatening or pending litigations /T. Hobbs versus Lovington Police Department.
I'll second that.
We have a second roll call, please, or a poll, I'm sorry. Anna?
Commissioner Trujillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
Mayor Gomez?
Yes. We will now go into closed session. Thank you.
Motion, we go back in the regular session. Matters discussed in the closed session were limited only to those specified in motion for closure and that no action was taken.
We have a second. Second by
Art.
Okay, Art. All right, roll call, please. Huh?
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
and Mayor Collins.
Yes. All right, we're back in session. I'll entertain a motion. If there's no further discussion for an adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right.